Hello and welcome to Zerocarbonista Series 7. Don't panic. I'm Ian Collins and this is your number one go-to environment-based podcast. If it's green, it's in. What I love, Dale, is when we do these and we talk through your diary. Often the diary starts off with a kind of clash that you might have had, whether it's with Mike or Julia or someone online. There's been a few of those. Even Elon Musk managed to out-Musk himself, the Musk. But this week it's been Piers Morgan. But slightly more affable with Piers Morgan?
Well, I was going to say, or Piers Morgan, because last time I spoke to him, it was colourful. It was amusing.
It was avocados, wasn't it?
And almonds, avocados and almonds and bees, the little guys. That was his big thing. And it's been his shtick for a long time. When talking to vegans, he'd say, but if you eat avocados, then you're a hypocrite because, they came from America, he said, and where they killed 50 murder 50 billion bees a year just to make avocados. And I said to him in the end, I said, apart from the fact that vegans don't eat avocados every day, right? That's some kind of crazy myth.
Yeah, it's like you're just like a constant diet of avocados.
I have the occasional avocado, but they don't come from America. And he said to me, how do you know? But how do you know, Vince? How do you know? And I was like this. I held my hand up like this to mimic it. And I'm like, well, I read the label, Piers. And he was like just gobsmacked. There were labels on avocados and they don't all come from America.
But avocados come from all over the place.
No.
They could come from Spain. They could come from North Africa. They could come from everywhere. They could come from a greenhouse in this country.
Exactly right. So this time, a part of our conversation turned back to that because I had to remind him, didn't I? He was actually... he was talking about his new book, and he was talking about balance and discussion and argument and facts. Honestly, I mean, I was like, this is like a new Piers Morgan. He's been taken away by aliens, I think, and brought back different. But I had to remind him because he talked about having world-beating facts. I had to remind him. He thought he had those last time, but he didn't know where avocados actually came from. And I said to him, you've come back with improved facts, and I really like that. And he was smiling in the background like he really liked that as well. His book is called Woke is Dead. And in it, he was very proud of the chapter where he goes into how much water it takes to make almond milk. It's the worst of all milks, apparently. It's actually the worst of all alternate milks. Oat milk is at the bottom end of the scale. Almonds at the top end of the scale. But I said to him, you've missed out the biggest of all, cow milk. It's bigger than all of those by a long way. And he had nothing to say to that because he had missed it out. I said, you've got facts, but you've got partial facts, actually, and you've got to include cow milk.
Does the milk appear in his book?
Yeah, it's from the book. That's what he was talking about.
It's from the book. Oh, right.
Yeah, but he's got a big bit missing. He'll need to have an addendum or something added to it.
On the second publication, with the paperback version, whatever they
sticker for that page. There's actually cow's milk is far worse than almond milk. He was up there, isn't it? It was a shocking thing. He was like X number of liters per almond, and like to make a liter of almond milk is this number of almonds, and therefore it's that much water and stuff like that. I'm like, yes, but cows use far more water to make the milk. And then
that ended the conversation.
No, we got into bees and stuff. He claims he's made me a more pure version of myself. That was fun. Since our last conversation.
He's made you a more pure version.
Which is funny. It was a lovely chat. He had a panel. They were talking about trans issues and woke issues. And honestly, it was like, it was almost like a fever dream. There was the lovely version of Piers Morgan engaging in a conversation. And he said to me right at the start, he said, He's not against net zero, actually, and all that stuff. He believes we need to get there, but he thinks we're going too fast and we can't afford it. So I said to him, you're in the majority, Piers. And I quoted the Gigapoll to him that tells us most people think that. And I said, and it's a fair point. We have to actually discuss that, address it with facts, actually. Are we going too fast? Can we afford it? Is it more expensive than fossil fuels? Yeah. And I think maybe we'll have that discussion. We're going to reach out to his team and say, how about it? A lot of people hold this view. Why don't we explore it?
Yeah. I mean, you've said that many times on the podcast. If people have, and I've argued this on air as well, that the biggest danger you could apply it to any argument, is a lack of information, right? So, and when there's a vacuum, people make up their own facts, and what tends to happen is And it's quite clever because some very intelligent people make up their own facts. But of course, if you're selective, you can make an argument out of anything, right? I mean, if you want to construct an argument that the Forth Bridge was actually constructed by a gang of chimpanzees wearing red overalls, there will be a way you could make that argument partially stick, because there's usually a kernel of something in there.
Yeah, there is. I mean, you're right. Actually, in most, I mean, even Trump, there's always not always, often a little bit of truth within the maelstrom of falseness that he spouts, and Reform and people like that.
I tell you what, Dale, when it comes to alternative facts, even Tony Blair has some of those.
Slightly less wooden. One more time.
When it comes to alternative facts, even Tony Blair has some of those.
Yes.
There you go. And we're good at this.
Oh yeah, we're knocking the shit out of the park.
So why is the mighty, almost godlike figure to some, a Lucifer figure to others? Why is Tony Blair on our hit list here today?
Well, he was the cause of one of our media interviews a couple of days ago. He put out a new report, which said nothing new, and actually repeated his old position that we need to slow down the transition to green energy in order to bring bills down. Excuse me, which is a ridiculous thing. And it's very similar to what Piers Morgan was saying to me, and what a lot of people are beginning to believe because they're hearing it everywhere. And so I was on media talking about that, how completely, perfectly wrong it is, the diagnosis and the prognosis. The reason we have high bills is not green energy, it's fossil fuels. And therefore, it can't make any sense to slow down the green energy and do more fossil fuels. I wrote an op-ed also in the week for LBC on the same topic, having done an interview. And in it, I had to bring it up. I couldn't not, right? The dodgy dossier. I had to say, This man's got form, right? He's been here before. Here's a big threat. This is what we need to do about it.
Well, when you've been caught reading out in Parliament what I think was a student's dissertation that even the student discarded, it was something like that, wasn't it? And then you're probably better to keep stum when it comes to wheeling out new dossiers and facts and stuff. You might just want to leave it alone because somebody could inconveniently bring that up, and you did.
Yeah, I had to go there. I had to say that fossil fuels are the new dodgy dossier, and Britain has been once bitten. That's what I had to say. That's my sign.
And you'd think, what I find interesting about that, given Tony Blair's kind of, whether you love Tony Blair or hate Tony Blair, but invariably you might think he knew all of this already, as to what you were saying about bills and net zero.
That I knew or he knew?
No, you might think he would know. He'd be across that. Fundamentally across it.
He should know better. Lots of people say, he's being funded by Saudi money and stuff like that. I don't like to go there for a reason, for an argument. It's kind of like it's a kind of fairly base place to go. But you got to wonder, why does Tony Blair, otherwise, I mean, I think he's an intelligent person, good communicator. I used to be a fan until the Iraq invasion. Why? Why is he saying things that are clearly counterfactual? We know that fossil fuels, through the gas link, are keeping our energy prices artificially high. And until we break them, I think green energy can't do its job. That's
just a fact. I mean, there's not even a debate on that. And you could be as right wing as you like, but that's a fact.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So hey,
I've spoken to plenty of right wingers on the radio program who acknowledge that as a fact.
It's interesting.
It's very easy to find out as well. There's nothing weird about it. That is a fact.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a fact.
That's a fact. I know. We dusted off the old Red Eyes poster. Do you remember it? The image of Tony Blair that the right wing.
Remember it really well. We dusted off the poster. That's brilliant.
And we gave it green demon eyes. And I forget the slogan we wrote at the bottom, but it was a really apt slogan. But I can't remember it. Who cares? It's on social media.
It's there. Check it out on Dale's social media, of course. Let's stick with the Labour Party, but in its current form, they've got a new deputy leader. Is this good news or troubling news for the party?
Well, I think it's good news. The right wing, let's say voices, media and politicians, they were keen on the day to make a fuss about it and say this is more division and a chaotic government, and stuff like that. And I think, well, Jesus, it's hard to define Keir Starmer's first year in office as being chaotic, I think. Missteps, yes. We can all see those, but chaos, we've seen what chaos looks like, and that means like Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, people like that. And the idea that Keir Starmer it would be against Lucy Powell being deputy leader, I think, is also a fabrication of the right wing. He's never spoken in favour of either of the two candidates, Bridget and Lucy. I think both great candidates. I backed Lucy. I thought they were fairly neck and neck, bar one thing. Lucy's not in the cabinet and will be slightly more free to, express her views and the views of the rest of the party and the public and stuff like that. I thought that's a good edge to have. She's also a good person. So I think it's good for the party, actually. And we've gone from Angie Rain, a strong independent voice, to Lucy Powell, strong independent voice. I say there's no real story here, but on the day, there was an awful lot of fuss being made on media.
Yeah. Let's move to another party, and that is Reform, who've had a little bit of trouble this week over, I think the way to describe it is a misspeak, Dale.
A misspeak. Oh, wow. I never read this. Jesus. It's worse than that bloke who wants to lead the Tory party, Jenrick. It's worse than him when he went to somewhere in Birmingham and said he couldn't see any white faces.
That's right, he did, didn't he?
That's worse. Are we allowed to read it out? I think that's shocking.
So what she did, so she said, and it was her turn of phrase that got her into trouble, not the content of what she went on to discuss. She was discussing something that Channel 4 have just done a load of research on as well, about disproportionate representation of some groups. So Asians are underrepresented, whites are underrepresented in advertising. And that was the point she was making. However, her way of getting to that point was to say, quote, "It drives me mad when I see ads full of black people and Asian people." Now, when you're a politician, you got even Farage gave her a bollocking for that and said this was ugly and, it went into a territory that is not acceptable. So when he's telling you off, I mean, and it also overshadowed any announcement he wanted to make. So your mate Nigel was pissed off.
Yeah, well, that's good news, then. That's good news. I'm suddenly liking this Sarah woman a little bit more.
That's her life's work.
But what we're going to do is reform in it. It's like baked in. Do you know what I mean? It's like shock horror. Trump is racist. We all know that.
He's a nice man, Dale. You're being very, very unkind to Donny.
I don't know if Nigel Farage is racist himself. I mean, he seems.
I don't think
he certainly plays that card, right? And he pokes that issue. But a lot of people in his party definitely are.
They all speak well of you, Dale. That's the point.
Yes, I'm sure they do. Oh, big breaking news. You made me think of Richard Tice. It only came in a couple of days ago, but I've had this long-running libel case against him for the Hamas slurs of, yesteryear. It's the case in which the whole right-wing media got into a feeding frenzy. They all started calling me a terrorist sympathizer. The one where I've won 9 times in court already. The actual score is 9-0 to the other side. Richard Tice and some Lord Fool fella are the last two standing. And a judge had ruled that Richard Tice's words about me were capable of being opinion. He would then have to go on and prove it was an opinion, not a statement of fact. But the judge ruled that it was possible. We've now won an appeal against that, and that's going to be reheard, which is pretty cool. And I don't know if you remember back in the day, the Daily Mail ran a headline. And the headline itself was like something about a sex pest or something like that. And they had my picture, and they put a red ring around my face, and they put an arrow to my head. And then they had a picture of, I think, Just Stop Oil or something like that. They didn't have a picture of the person they were actually talking about. And it's somewhere down the article, they made clear that actually it was somebody else. It was a donor sex pest. That's right, it was somebody else. And there's an ancient law in our country. I say ancient because it predates the internet. And a judge has ruled that people don't just read the headline, they also read the whole article. It may have been true once when there was nothing else to do in the world, but today with an internet and everything, we know it's not true. I read headlines and I think, well, I know that story, and I move on. But that law has stuck since the internet age. We've just got permission to challenge it also on appeal.
I thought that was of all these kind of cases. I thought that was a done deal in about 30 seconds because quite clearly, if you open up that newspaper, I remember the article. Well, there is a headline and there is a picture of you, and anyone who's stumbling across that would automatically assume the headline was connected to you. There was no doubt about it. You could ask 100 people, and at least 98 would say it's about him there. Why else would you put a big picture next to a big headline?
With a red
with a big arrow pointing to the person, the circle, everything was there. I didn't think that would be controversial in trying to get any judge or any kind of organization to acknowledge that immediately.
Yeah. So pre the internet, the media, generally right-wing media, won a case in which they successfully argued people read the whole thing, and therefore, as long as they make it clear in the article, they can do what they want in the headline. I mean, that's well overdue for overhaul. We wanted to do research to show the judge that people don't do that, because we all know that. You can ask anybody around you, do you always read the whole article? No. We weren't even allowed to put research in because the law as it stands just won't listen. But we've got an appeal. A novel angle, a bit like we did with what's his name, Guido Fawkes. We used Premier League, anti-piracy laws to take him down. We've got data protection in this case. Actually, basically what we're saying is they used my data badly. My data being my face and my name, and the headline of accusing me in effect of being a donor and a sex pest.
I mean, I think that you would, if you were teaching media at university, I think you would take that page and show media students an example of how you don't do journalism. I would feel that convinced that would be a thing that a good lecturer would tell, never, like, kids, here's an example, never ever do this because it's a crock of shit and it's only going to mean one thing. I mean, it's kind of schoolboy stuff, but we will. We'll update everybody, of course, with the latest on that. Can we before we go to football, Dale? Can we just get a word about Shell, because Shell are being sued for causing a typhoon? What the hell?
Yeah, it's a big story, really, because the people responsible for bringing the case have got it into court, and Shell will have to answer for the long-standing knowledge of the impact of fossil fuels. That's what it's based on. Like tobacco companies who for decades knew they were killing people. One day it caught them up. Or the Sackler family, is it, in America with the opioid crisis and that kind of stuff. It looks like the next big class action. If these people are successful against Shell, then the doors are wide open for the whole oil and gas industry. I'm quite excited about that.
Yeah. And what about the bacon industry? Because they're in the dock as well.
Yeah, they are, aren't they?
You've talked about this as well for ages. I think we first mentioned this about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's in my book from 5 years ago. It's a stunning fact that bacon and cigarettes or tobacco are on the same list, the World Health Organization list of carcinogens. They're both grade 1 carcinogens. And one of them sits behind a roller shutter door, in unbranded packets covered in hideous pictures of diseased organs, and the other one sits in the supermarket shelf with a smiley pig face on it, going, eat me, right? But they're both...
Because that's exactly the predicament or the predisposition of the pig prior to its inevitable death.
Yeah. And the BBC did a piece maybe 12 months ago, and they said having a bacon butty is equivalent to, I think they said like 4 cigarettes or something like that. I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
They did a study, or somebody did a study that just put them in equivalent terms. We've known it for a long time, and yet the government don't do anything about it. There are no warning signs on bacon, which there at least should be. But then again, we force feed it in effect to children and patients in hospitals and people in prisons, because it's on the menu. These kinds of meats, it's not just bacon, it's anything treated with nitrites. It's on the public sector, the menu of the public sector in these places, schools, hospitals, and prisons, which is, poisoning them.
Yeah. And the study looked, there's the chemicals that they were looking at in bacon have been linked to more than 50,000 bowel cancer cases. So this is not like a little kind of anecdotal possibility. This looks pretty damning stuff. But like you say, you can buy it with a little smiley pig. Often the pig's given a name, buy Porky.
Yeah. It's all kinds of bad, but it's all kinds of good, actually, that scientists have come out demanding the same thing, warnings on bacon. Yeah. That's what I put in my book, because we have to do it generally across food. There's a lot of other food that is problematic, And we have to let people know. Because if it's in a supermarket or a shop and it's on a shelf, you assume that it's safe to eat.
100%. I mean, that's part of the deal of almost the contract you enter into when you walk into the supermarket, is that everything that is for sale here is completely safe. It's not going to kill you.
Except the dangerous stuff, which is behind a roller shutter door in unbranded packaging. And then you know it's dangerous because it says it to you. It doesn't say Benson and Hedges.
Yeah, literally shows you a man with a diseased face and stuff. So, but not the bacon yet. Should we do some questions, Dale?
Oh, yeah, but we missed out football.
Well, there's a question about football.
Well,
I was going to do that, that super slick thing that I'm really good at doing, just linking stuff in effortlessly.
Let's do it then.
First question is from Terry Putson. This is on LinkedIn. Any updates on Ecotricity green gas project from herbal ley or stroke grass?
Yes, right. We bumped into problems actually with the feedstock blocking up the stomach of the project, the big AD stomach, and we're kind of working our way through how to solve that with an eye to getting it back up and running in the next few months. So behind that, we're continuing to find new sites where there's a grid connection and enough fields nearby to grow grass and stuff like that. But we definitely hit a big bump in the road with our first project, which I think first began making gas about a year ago before it got constipated.
Yeah. So it's not. This is in the pipeline to
it's
use an unfortunate.
Metaphor, pun,
metaphor.
Whatever.
Yeah. Here's a question from Craig. This is about football, Dale, which is interesting. He says, "When's the new stadium starting to be built, mate?"
That's a good question. We keep making progress. We have got planning permission. We've beaten down most of the 30 planning conditions that stood in the way. We've done the detailed design. We've got blueprints in effect that we can give to builders to actually build it. We've costed it. Everything's going well. We've got a road issue to crack with the county highways, they're just a nightmare in the whole project. And once we've cracked that, the thing is, there's on Junction 13 of the M5, the road that leads into Stroud, and the naughty highways people are trying to gain from the position of power that they're in. They're trying to gain a dual carriageway from the motorway roundabout to the next roundabout at our expense. It's only about 1 kilometre, but they want it dualed. Because they say we'll bring a lot more traffic and it's already quite busy there. But the thing is, it's busy in the rush hour, the Mondays to Fridays, mornings and evenings, and football's on a Saturday afternoon, isn't it? Or a Tuesday night, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that seems like common sense to me. We're going to bring people in the off-peak, so there's no actual
So you can build your stadium, but you have to build our road.
Exactly.
Me.
There's all kinds of wrong.
I mean, you can't blame them, right, for giving it a go.
It's 7 million.
But you are going to challenge this.
It's 7 million quid. I feel I can blame them. If it was little, I might wave it away.
Yeah,
we're on it.
But on the plus side of football, cracking weekend last weekend just gone for Forest Green Rovers.
Yeah, absolutely. And before that, you reminded me. I met a bunch of Japanese people at Forest Green in the week. They're from the J League which is like the Premier League. Must have been about 10 people. And we had a good old chat about what Forest Green does and stuff like that. And towards the end, I said to the room, "Oh, I've seen in the media that somebody in Japan is planning a wooden football stadium." We were talking about ours, and the guy goes, "Oh, that's me." And I was like, "Oh, right." And it was really interesting. And he said we were inspired by yours. I was like, "Oh, that's great to hear, actually," because I'd seen it and thought, you know what I do? You see something, you think, "Wow, we're being copied here." That happens to me anyway, all the time.
That's brilliant.
It's brilliant. He was a lovely man, and we swapped information on cost. He said, "How much is yours going to cost?" And I told him, and I asked him how much his was going to cost. Same price, but half the capacity. And I was like, "Whoa! I thought we had the most expensive per seat stadium in the world, but you do."
Yeah. I don't think it's cheap to build anything in Japan now.
No, that's what somebody else said to me. But I might go out there next summer, and if I do, I'm going to go and meet some of these people. They were really lovely people.
Sure.
Oh,
good call. And was this connected to, obviously, big win against Boreham Wood last Saturday?
Happened in the same place at the new lawn. That's where we met.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so back to that bit. Boreham Wood, thanks for reminding me. 2-1. Was it?
Yep.
I think it was 2-1. It was a great game. Oh, my word. It was end-to-end. Really great game. They were above us in the league at the time because they've been on a roll. They're really lovely people as well. Just got promoted, I think. Play great football. What an event. And the BBC were there because we had some more people on prescription come to the football game. And the BBC were there to talk to me and Robbie and Dr. Simon Ofer, the kind of co-founder of the program. We just had a great time.
Good. And then big game this Friday, televised FA Cup first round.
Versus Luton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's doable, Dale, right? That's doable.
It's doable.
There are a couple of leagues above, but it's doable.
It is definitely above. It's like, right up in the Championship. And I was disappointed with the draw because I thought that at this stage of the game, please, just give us a non-league team, because there's plenty of them in the game. So we got in a way, it's kind of like a no man's land. We didn't get a kind of big famous name. I want to say that. Probably Luton fans will hate me now for saying that, but it's kind of slightly like okay, because it's going to be hard enough. The chances of winning are fairly small, but
not impossible.
Not impossible.
Well, that's what the FA Cup throws up, isn't it? There's a litany of examples of kind of like really extraordinary when Dodge Pot Rovers beat Liverpool 10-0 or something.
Giant
in 1857.
Right. But that's the thing about this draw. I wanted us to, get through to the next round at least by drawing a lower league opponent, so that we might draw a Premier League team. That's
a good point. Further down. Yeah.
But it's going to be
final question, Dale, from Nick Horwood. Who says, Dale, are you helping Zack? I think we all stand a chance with that man, future-wise.
I like Zack. I like what he said.
There's a bit of a dalliance going on, bit of a kind of a dance with Zack. Is that fair?
Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but definitely
is there political flirtation going on, Dale?
we definitely like on social media saying the same things and kind of supporting each other's like stuff on social media. I like what Zack says. I do say that in the media quite openly. He's he's a good communicator, but he's also bold. He's not afraid to go anywhere. It would seem, even like legalize all drugs. He's not afraid to say that and stuff like that. I still think the chances of him being prime minister are very, very, very slim, and we might have the same kind of calculation come the next election as last time. Like, where do we throw our weight to keep the bad guys out? It's possible, but right now, I'm enjoying what he does. He's breathed new life into the Green Party. I mean, it's quite incredible. The members there must be really glad that they chose him over the other candidate, because.
He's certainly reinvigorated the Green Party. There's no doubt about that. And they will. It would be extraordinary if they didn't improve their result at the next general election, even though that's kind of 4 years or just under 4 years away. Dale, we're out of time. We're done.
Wow, that was so quick.
We are back in a week.
And no X-rated questions.
Not this week. They may return. Who knows? Maybe people have just started to collectively all like you, Dale. There's no detractors now.
I did my hair especially.
You did your hair. Well, that means next week there will definitely be some questions.
I'm thinking rather than have an X-rated corner, maybe just slip a couple in. Just make a melange of questions. You know what I mean?
With a kind of that's a good idea. A buffet of questions. We bring you the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I'm not going to say smorgasbord, but
that's just annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Speak to you in a week, Dale.
See you later.
You can follow Dale on social media, of course. He's on X, he's on Facebook and TikTok too.